Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel. For those of you who are frequent users of chess.com, you might be aware of the speed chess matchup between Alexander Grischuk and Young Polish Duda. I will be covering a game from the 5 minutes plus 1 second increment portion. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Duda, he is a young Polish grandmaster who has shown lots of promise and potential. He's currently rated close to 2740 on the FIDE's rating list, so definitely a player to watch out for. In this game, Duda had white and Grischuk had the black pieces. We have e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and bishop to c4. Duda goes for the Joker piano. Bishop to c5, c3 preparing the advance d4, knight to f6, d3 guarding the e4 pawn, d6, knight b to d2, black castles, and here h3 from Duda, preventing bishop to g4. a6 from Grischuk, making room for the bishop to drop back if necessary. Bishop to b3, rook to e8, and here knight to f1 from Duda. So delaying castling with the idea of maneuvering the knight to g3. If white were to castle immediately, then he would have to waste a tempo moving his rook. Then only can he maneuver his knight to f1 followed by g3. Bishop to e6 from Grischuk. We have knight to g3, bishop takes b3, a takes b3, and here h6 preventing bishop to g5. b4 from Duda, bishop to b6, white castles, and here knight to e7 from Grischuk. So now ideas like c6 and d5 breaking in the center are possible for black. The knight on e7 also controls the f5 square and could potentially go to g6. Knight to h4 from Duda, so he's eyeing f5. Queen to d7, queen to f3, and queen to e6. So Grischuk wants to place his rook on the d file and break with d5. Knight h to f5. Here there are some threats on the h6, so Grischuk wisely plays king to h7, defending. King to h1. So white is intending to push f4 at some point, so king to h1 steps out of the pin of this bishop. Rook a to d8. We have knight takes e7, rook takes e7, and knight to f5. Rook e to d7, and here queen to g3, so threatening mate on g7. Grischuk defends with knight to e8, and here Duda breaks with f4, trying to pry open the f file. And here Grischuk probably should have played queen to g6, trying to trade queens, because things are looking quite promising for white on the king side. Instead, he played e takes f4, which allowed Duda to bring his rook into the game. So now rook to h4 is a possibility for white. We have h5 from Grischuk trying to set up a blockade with g6. Bishop to e3, and here Grischuk tries to break with d5. And if these pawns were to be exchanged, then these rooks would be ideally placed on the e file. But unfortunately for Grischuk, after bishop takes b6, c takes b6, here a very nice move from Duda, e5. White's space advantage is starting to become overwhelming for black, and these rooks look quite silly on the d file. White has moves like d4 coming, which would establish a very strong center for white and a great space advantage. Also, he has moves like queen to h4, and this rook is going to swing over to the king side to participate in the attack. So here Grischuk takes the pawn, but Duda has worked out that rook to e1 would allow him to keep the advantage. After queen to f6, queen to f3, so the rook and the queen are staring down at f7. Also the queen is looking at h5. Here black doesn't really have a good way of defending h5. If he tries queen to g5, then simply you kick the queen back, queen to g6, and your knight to e7 unleashes an attack on f7. And if black tries queen to g6, well, simply knight to e7, and if queen to g5, rook to f5. So this is going to be lost. And you don't want to play g6 in this position because simply knight to h6 from white. So this attacks the queen, but more importantly, f7 is falling for black. Here Grischuk tries d4, so trying to get some counterplay, hoping for, if the knight takes d4, queen to g6, so black would have some pressure on d3. But here simply queen takes h5 from Duda, king to g8. Here rook to h4, so threatening checkmate. Grischuk tries to defend with g6, but unfortunately this is a forced checkmate for white. Queen to h7, king to f8, and here queen to h8 check. And in this position, Grischuk resigned the game, because after queen takes, simply rook takes h8 is checkmate. So for those of you that didn't watch the match, spoilers alert, Duda actually managed to defeat Grischuk. And so he has managed to upset 2 players in a row. First Carlsen, now Grischuk, and both of them are former World Blitz champions. So a very impressive feat from the Young Polish Grandmaster. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please subscribe for more future content. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.